Caribbean is often described as the most tourism-dependent region in the world. A titan is described as one that stands out for greatness of achievement, one who is influential in his field. I'm Marline Stephenson Dalley. Welcome to our podcast. We call it Jamaica's Tourism Titans. It's about the movers and shakers of the industry, men and women who have contributed to its growth and development in Jamaica, the region, and indeed the world. Hello, hello, hello. What a pleasure for me to have you here as part of our program today. We call it Jamaica's Tourism Titans. And if you're listening in for the first time, big welcome to you. If you're listening in and you have become a regular listener, we are just equally thrilled to have you. I'm Marline Stephenson Dalley, and my very special guest today in this episode of Jamaica's Tourism Titans was born Ian Williams. He's a self-taught Jamaican artist whose philosophy is to be the best you at all times. It is my pleasure to say howdy, welcome Ian Williams, Ras Natango.
Thank you very much, Marlene. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is so good to have you. It's been a long, long time.
It's been a long time.
Before we get into the program, tell us, what does Natango mean and how did you get that name? We know Ras is short for Rastafari,
Right.
which is the faith that you have embraced for many years, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But what does Natango mean?
Well, it's quite a story because it's a fictional name, but as a child, remember we had no television at that time in my era growing up, and comic books were the thing for kids.
Yes.
And one of those comics was called Daniel and Natango, Brothers of the Spear.
All right.
And Natango, in that comic book, one of the heroes, was the only person, the only guy that looked like me in a comic book at the time. And so I identified very much with him. I bought a lot of their comics,
Yes.
the episodes, and friends started calling me Natango because he was everything I'd talk about, my hero. And after I embraced the Rastafarian religion and started doing my art, I decided to use my nom de plume
Yes.
as my signature on my paintings. And this is where it came from.
All right. So Ras Natango, now you know. Take us back. You talk about being a child and not having television and all of that. Where were you born? Take us back to those early days.
Born in Kingston, raised by mom and dad. Very, very beautiful childhood because in those days we didn't have this crime and violence that we see going on today. Children were allowed to play on the streets, and we didn't even realize. I didn't realize we were poor at the time, because we played with all the children in the neighborhood, rich and poor alike, gathered together. We grew up in an area called Bournemouth Gardens in Kingston, and we never knew anything but happiness there. It was just a very pleasant childhood.
Yes.
Very happy.
And you had siblings?
I have sisters, no brothers.
Ah.
I do have 4 sisters.
Okay. So you know how that is.
Yes.
4
well,
sisters,
they
one
taught
boy.
me a lot. I learned a lot and learned, a lot about women and, the delicate nature of women.
I was about to ask, what exactly did
Yes,
you learn?
yes.
Just interacting with 4 sisters.
And learning to be very respectful and caring for women. So this is part of my, who I am.
Yes. And school?
School, I went to the Alpha Junior School on South Kemp Road, and then I went to St. George's College, where I graduated.
Did you have Jesuit priests? at
Did
St.
have
George's?
Jesuit priests,
Yeah.
yes, as teachers, and some other, mostly foreign teachers we had,
Yes.
American.
What was St. George's like at that time, and how did you find it? I mean,
Well, at that time it was an all-boys school, and it was great. It was a lot of camaraderie in, with my fellow students. Tended to have been a little bit of a rebellious person there. Led a couple of revolts on campus.
Really?
Yes.
Why were you revolting? Revolting
The
about
food
what?
in the cafeteria was very bad. And so I led a march against the cafeteria.
Oh, wow.
We decided we wanted to. We were not allowed to leave campus to go out and have purchase lunch anyplace else.
You had to have the canteen
We
food.
had to have the canteen food, and so I decided to gather the what support I could get, which turned out to be the entire school,
Wow, okay.
and led a protest one morning, and decided we were all going to march off campus and go out to lunch because I said to myself, there's no way they can expel all of us. There's no
Indeed.
way they can discipline all of us and expel us. So I had over 600 students behind me,
Wow.
and I was ahead of the group.
What became of that
Well,
protest?
Well, we got to the gate, and there was the dean of discipline there, waiting for me because he heard about it, and he said to me, they used to call us doctors. He said, Dr. Williams, if you put your foot outside that gate this morning, you're going to be in very big trouble. And I said, Father Quinlan, there's nothing you can do. Look, you see what's behind me? There's so many people. How are you going to expel all of us? And he said, I told you, you won't like what happens. I decided, you know what? I'm not backing down. So I stepped through that gate. And only when I stepped through the gate, expecting to have a crowd going
You
behind
realized
me,
you were all alone.
one other student stepped through the gate with me. Everybody else stood behind that gate. I was in shock.
But it just taught you something
It
about
taught
human
me
nature.
It taught me a great lesson.
Oh, my
But it's one
goodness.
of those things,
Yes. But you didn't get expelled or anything.
No, he laughed at me. He said,
Ah.
"I told you so."
Yes, you
I
see?
got 14 demerits.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Now, as a boy, you started drawing, and you mentioned your comics before.
Yes.
And that, I believe, is
I
where
pretty
this
much started drawing my
artistic-
own comic strips,
Okay.
and to entertain myself and my family,
And your own heroes.
my own heroes and so on. So that kind of inspired me into drawing, but I never thought art would be a career for me. I never gave it a second thought.
Right. You went on to do accounting.
I went on to become an accountant.
Okay. Tell us
And-
about that stint. How long did that last? And
7 years, actually. I worked for a small construction company in New Kingston. And then they moved me over to another business that my boss had called the Tropics Nightclub on Dumfries Road. And I spent about 3 years there. And then I embraced the Rastafarian religion. And one of my boss's partners was not happy about my growing dreadlocks. And
yes.
so that we fell out, and I stepped out of the job because I knew they were going to fire me. So I just stepped out before they did, and started to, I was home doing a little bit of idling and friends and getting involved,
Trying to decide what to do
trying
next.
to figure out what to do next.
Yes.
And my boss, the other boss that employed me, drove his car, came to my home one day and said, "What are you doing? Why are you not at work? Why have you left the job?" Says, "Come back and work for us. I'll accept you the way you are." So I said, "Okay." He said, "Just wear a hat." And I said, "Okay." So I started wearing a tam, going to
Yes,
work. And I still didn't feel satisfied in the job. So after spending an extra 2 years there, I just quit.
And
came
decided
home
to go
and
into
decided
your
to
art.
embrace my art and my religion and just find myself.
Yes.
Those
You're
days-
self-taught.
Yes, I
It's
am
not like you went
self-taught.
to the art school or you,
No.
but
I-
your work has been all over the place.
I was very fortunate. I've been very fortunate in my art. It is all over the place. I've had my work displayed in the Half Moon Hotel, where they gave me a commission back in 1997 to do new paintings for them, and they're refurbishing and redecorating. And the Rio hotels commissioned me also to do some works for them, and my work is found in 4 Rios on the island, and so that kind of opened up the doors for me.
And what about some of the places across the world that, your art has actually...
My wife and I sat down and tried to list the different countries that my work could be found in, because guests at these hotels started commissioning work from me. It got so very good for me that I was shipping a painting almost every Friday morning. The people at FedEx and I became friends because they could guarantee I would show up on a Friday morning
Yes.
with a painting to ship to some different country in
And
the
this
world.
is a painting that somebody, a guest, would come into the
Would come
hotel
in.
and say, listen, I need this artist to do
Yes.
X
Yes.
kind of work for
So-
me. I want... And what do you work in? What's the media?
And my medium is acrylic on canvas.
Acrylic on canvas.
And so when we tried listing the countries, we listed close to 47 countries
Wow.
that you can find my work in.
Yes.
So it's been quite a pleasure for me.
I mean, that taking a piece of Jamaican art
Yes.
is as a memento,
Yes.
a souvenir, a
Yeah.
memorabilia,
Yeah, yeah.
something that really hooks you
Oh,
for the
yes.
particular country,
Yes.
and taking it back to
Back.
wherever. It's
Yeah.
always not just a conversation piece, but a marketing piece.
It is. It is. And I've been really blessed to have all of that happen for me. You know.
Your work spans 4 decades and portrays life in the
Yes.
tropics.
In the tropics. Yes.
That is what you're inspired to.
I'm
To
also
paint?
inspired by nature. You know.
Yes.
I mean, I love flowers. I've gotten to love flowers because I was painting them so much.
Yes.
So I love gardening. I love flowers. My wife is an avid gardener, as you might know,
Yes.
and that really just scenes of nature and life in general, or culture, things like that. Those are my topics. Those are my subjects.
Yes.
You know?
What brought you to Montego Bay? Because you have been here for quite some time, and
Yes.
we're going to talk a little bit about Camrose, because I know there are a lot of people who don't have a clue. Camrose,
Yeah.
where is that? Is that a new kind of rose? Is that a
Oh,
hybrid flower?
really, I tell
Where
you.
is that? What is that? But what brought you to Montego Bay?
My art. I used to we lived in Portland for a while, my wife and I.
Yes.
And there was not much of a market after the cruise shipping industry died in Portland for my art. So I used to commute from Portland to Ocho Rios or to Montego Bay on a Monday or on a cruise ship day to sell my art. A lot of the times I'd find myself, I'd bring pieces and park my car and just lean them up against the car or against the fence. And I found myself running from the police many a days in Ocho Rios
Yes,
from the
yes.
pier, because they were saying you can't
Yes,
sell
you
here,
can't
you
do
can't
that.
do
That's
this, you
not
can't do
allowed.
that. And, but in Montego Bay, there was this gallery of West Indian art. A lady called Elizabeth DeLissa.
Yes.
Rest, R.I.P., rest in peace. She's dead now. But she always bought art from any Jamaican artist who would come in on a Monday morning, and she liked the work, she liked the pieces. So I started coming here like once a month on a Monday morning
Yes.
to go to the gallery, and sure enough, she'd always take 2 or 3 pieces of my work. And so that made a little bit of money for me. And but then I realized I was traveling more. I was spending more time, commuting
road,
back and
right,
forth on the
when
road.
you could be doing
when
some
I could be doing
painting.
something. So yeah. So after doing that for about 2 years, I said to my wife one day, why don't we sell the property we had? We lived on our own property. I said, let's sell this place and move to Montego Bay, so I can really, I'd be where my art makes some money.
Right. And spend some time. More time.
And she agreed. She said, sure, why not? So we packed up and we left Portland, sold the property, left Portland, came to Montego Bay, and here I am today.
So, we spoke about Camrose earlier on.
Yes.
So in selling the property in Portland, coming to Montego Bay, how did you stumble upon Camrose? Because Camrose is not around the corner.
Well, I tell you something. No, it's not. But we lived when we came to Montego Bay first, we ended up living in Granville. And we lived in Granville for a number of years. But we were moving, ever so often, because we're living in rented places. And at that time, I started doing hand-painted T-shirts. That really gained a fan club behind me, because I was airbrushing and hand-painting T-shirts. And they took the market. And so I was making some good money from that. And my wife became a teacher at the Granville All-Age School. Well, I was kind of not happy about moving every couple of months from one place to the other. Because, somehow we just wouldn't find a place that, would satisfy us. So I said to my wife one morning, I said, we need to find our own place. We need to buy a bit of land and build our own house, because we couldn't buy a house at the time. So, but I figured we could buy some land, as we did in
Yes,
Portland,
and as my
and
mother
start
would say,
from there. Yes,
one room build
right,
house.
exactly.
So you start.
And that's what we did. And so she left one morning to school, Monday morning, and a friend who we had been talking to, about purchasing land, came to visit. And he said to me, he knows a lady up in the mountains that might have land, or know somebody who has land for sale. Would I like to meet her? And I said, sure, why not? Because I'm interested in finding out what's available and what kind of prices people are asking for land. And sure enough, when we got up there in the morning, he introduced me to this lady, who, when I told her what my business was about, right off the bat just said to me, I have some land for sale. So that was quite a nice coincidence.
Yes.
I said to her, well, whereabouts? And we were down on the main road, and she just pointed up to the hillside and said, up there. I looked up, and lo and behold, there was a jungle. I looked at this jungle up there, and I'm like, wow, it's a hillside, but it's a jungle. I borrowed her machete, scrambled up a steep embankment to get onto the property, hacked my way through with this machete, and got to a little distance and turned around. Something caught a glint the corner of my eyes, and I turned around and chopped some bushes out of my way. And when I looked, oh my God, I beheld one of the most spectacular views. And I thought, wow, what a view, you know.
Yes.
This is it. I need not look any further. This is the place I'm looking for.
Yes.
Just so happened that morning, when I left, I had some money in my pocket. I came right back off the hillside, went to the lady, and we talked
Here's
about
my
price.
deposit.
And she gave me a good price, and I said, here's a deposit. Hold on to this.
Hold on.
It wasn't quite a deposit. It was a marker.
Yes.
I said, hold
Something
on to
to
this.
hold.
Give me a receipt.
Yes,
Yes.
a
Don't
place
sell it
marker.
to anyone else. Just a marker. And she did. And this is where that land came from. She was very understanding and gave us the opportunity to actually pay for it in increments over time. And so, with the help of family and friends and our own earnings, we were able to do that, accomplish that, purchasing that land.
Yes, and that
started-
land
Yes.
has become
Who could have told me that? I would have laughed at
Gallery
anyone.
and
I would have laughed at anyone who would have said that to me. But the thing about that
tour.
land, when I purchased it because of the view. But when we cleared that jungle away, what we discovered was we purchased the face of a cliff. It was a solid rock wall at the back that fell straight down to nothingness pretty much. It was a steep drop off. And I was like totally in shock. People laughed at us. And people told me, oh, you'll never be able to live there. It's too steep and it's covered in all rocks. There's nothing you can do with this place. Well, the deed was done and there was nothing else to do. I had no more money to purchase any place else.
And you just had to make
we had
do
to make
with
this,
what you
had to make it work. So
But that view is such
It is
a
spectacular.
beautiful,
Absolutely
such a
beautiful.
spectacular
Yes.
view that I'm telling you.
180
I've
degrees.
been, and
it is.
yes.
It makes you
It
give
makes
that,
sense.
Yes, it makes sense. You know?
Because that's the emotion
That
that's
comes
the,
over you when you
yes,
see
that
it.
comes over you when you
Yes.
take a look out and you
Yes.
just say,
It's a feeling
oh my
of
goodness, and it's so
release.
peaceful.
Yes.
We're talking with Rasna Tango from Rasna Tango Gallery and Garden Tour. He's our guest on Jamaica's Tourism Titans. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
In tourism, the people are the product. Yes, they are one of our industry's most important assets. They help create memorable lifetime experiences. They, through their service, make the difference. We share the stories of their challenges and triumphs, of what makes them tick, of who they really are, just to inspire you to act positively. You too can be an ambassador for tourism and our country and become a Jamaican tourism titan. Start today.
TPDCO's Explore Jamaica has insights into licensed tourism entities across Jamaica. Visit the Google or Apple Play Store and download the app today. If If you're just joining us, welcome back to Jamaica's Tourism Titans. Our very special guest is Ras Natango, a dedicated family man who is married to Tamika and has been married to her for over 40 years. That's a long time. His only son, Ayale, follows in his footsteps and is a visual and graphic artist in his own right. And together with his small family, he owns and operates the award-winning Ras Natango Gallery and Garden in the community of Camrose St. James. Before we took the break, you found out how he actually came to get this piece of land to build this gallery and garden in Camrose St. James. I know it was not an easy feat.
No, it was.
And, you're also involved in the community and all of that. But tell us, when I come to Ras Natango, what's that experience like? What can I expect? Give me a little tour of the space.
What it is we share pretty much the experience of our lives. We give you a brief history of the place, and then you get the guided tour. We identify the different plants and flowers throughout.
How many plants and flowers you have up there? You never tried to count.
Never.
Right?
It's too many. The variety is so great.
I'm sure some of them are, indigenous plants.
Most of them are indigenous.
Are endemic as well.
We do have a few
only
imports,
in that area.
but for the most part, they're all Jamaican plants, native plants. And what it is that you get this tour. It's kind of a lesson, learning. It's more knowledge based. You learn about the plants. If they're medicinal plants, we tell you about it and some of the things that they're good for. You get to smell, to feel, to touch some of them. And the herb garden especially is a favorite of our guests because they wonder how come these herbs smell different from theirs, the same type of herbs that they grow, but it's stronger. They all say it's
more potent.
More potent. We tell them it's because it's not grown in any fertilizer.
Yes.
It's just grown naturally.
Yes.
And
do you practice composting? And
this is how we actually make
organic.
soil for our garden.
Organic farming.
Because when we cleared the land, as I said, it was covered in rocks.
Yes.
So there was nothing to do but to make composting, composting the source of our soil. So we still do composting. As you come there, you'll actually see a large compost area. And these are things that the guests get to see. The garden is divided into 5 different levels, terraces, connected by steps to go from one to the other. And on each level, there are the different layouts of plants and so on. And we go through, as I said, giving identifying the plants and just having a general conversation with our guests. And all the time, all the while, you're having the spectacular view going along, So we tend to just go cater to what the guests want.
Yes, and you do have a gift shop.
We do have a gift shop.
You can purchase.
Where you can purchase stuff, and everything in the gift shop is actually made right there on the property. There's nothing imported.
Yes.
Everything is made,
it's
handmade
all
right
authentic.
there. Authentic, handmade Jamaican
Yes.
Gifts. And we do purchase woodwork from a young man in the community that does carving, and he's very good at what he does. So we do purchase some of his work.
Right.
And
so that speaks to the linkages that are taking place even within the community and that value chain. Because here you are, you have established an oasis.
Oh yes.
And the oasis is able to, include
we do include
other persons from the community. So it's a little bit of community tourism, it's some ecotourism taking place, and of course there's some cultural heritage tourism taking place, all in one space.
All in one space. And what we have done, we mentored our young men in the community. We had a group called Progressive Generations that would come to our place on a Monday evening, and we just sit and mentor these guys, talk to them about life and the prospects for their future and so on. And this went a long way because the community at one stage was pretty volatile, and it's brought them to a level where they've seen life a lot differently, and are trying to make lives on their own in a much better way right now.
I'm seeing here where you're actively involved in the welfare of the community, providing employment and sponsoring sports in Camrose
Yes.
and the neighboring
Yes,
community of Gutters, and that your efforts have even resulted in Camrose being designated an international city of peace.
Yes.
And it's presently perhaps the only one in Jamaica?
It's the only one in the Caribbean. Yes, it is. It's
That's
quite an
interesting. Tell us about that. I mean, how did that come about? Being designated an international city
honor. Well,
of
we had
peace.
some visitors who came, some guests who came from South Africa one day, and they were so enthralled by the whole, the whole place and the story that we gave them, the history of the place and all that, that they decided to come back to visit. And
Stick a pin. You're going to tell me that story, but one bit of the history that is perhaps significant, that would sort of edify and educate us in the process. Tell me something about Camrose that is historic and that is significant.
Oh, wow. There's so many things about Camrose. It's pretty much a community that was not really even recognized or known about. A lot of Jamaicans didn't even know that it existed. The place is very peaceful. At least now it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it has a spectacular view all around. But the people are also, they're also very, they're good people, I'd say. All
Mm-hmm.
in our respects. And we have learned to be a part of the community and to extend help to whatever whatever they need. My wife has taught many of the children there at the school at Granville All Age, and they've now grown up to be young men, young ladies. And so there's that respect that there's there for us in the community and a kind of admiration. The place has actually brought them to one step closer to their aspirations, seeing that there's nothing you can't achieve if you're willing to put in the work.
Yes.
But Camrose in itself is just a very peaceful, quiet, and relaxing community.
Yes. Certainly a little bit off the beaten track.
Off the beaten track.
But you were telling us about the International City of Peace
Well, yes.
designation.
The visitors, they came back, and we, had discussions with them. One of the visitors, he was the actual founder of the International Cities of Peace movement, which is it's recognized by the United Nations. It's a recognized organization there. And so when we discussed, what we were doing and told him about it, he decided, Mr. Fred Arment is his name, he decided that he wanted to really explore further. And they went away and contacted my wife and told us that they were gone because of what we were doing in the community and the 2 days they had there, how peaceful and how engaging it was for them. They wanted to do this, to list us as one of the International Cities of Peace. We found it very interesting and, we appreciated it very much so. And the founder, he came back. We had a meeting where we engaged the entire community. All the boys that we mentored came up.
Yes.
And we even had a representative from the tourism ministry. Mr. Bartlett sent a representative. And it was a wonderful day. He was very generous in Mr. Arment, the founder.
Yes.
He was very impressed with the way the boys reacted and behaved and all of that. It was just something.
Well, congratulations, because that is quite an achievement, I believe, and it's an achievement not just for you and your family, but for the entire community.
The entire community, yes.
I'm sure it all goes well.
It speaks to actually during the state of emergency in 2018, 2019 there, some of our boys, while they were not able to go up beyond the streets, they'd come up to our place where they'd play dominoes and so on. And when they were accosted by the police, if they were found on the streets, they would tell them, sometimes downtown they were accosted by police, they'd tell them they're from Camrose, International City of Peace. and they'll actually let them go.
Yes.
Because my wife and the police, we cooperate with the police. You'll
Yes.
find policemen coming up just to visit, take a break from their job, from
Yes,
their
and look
hard
out
work.
at that wonderful
They
and
actually come
beautiful
up and
view.
love hand feeding the hummingbirds,
Yes.
because we do have hummingbirds that
That's
you
an
can hand feed.
opportunity there.
Yes, so they come up and they relax a little and just enjoy some free time with us, and we entertain them.
How relevant is the artist in today's technological world?
I
Where,
always like
we
to
see
say,
people doing all kinds of things, and there's
yes.
artificial intelligence, and there's, so for that artist who wants to create and give you a little bit of his heart, a little bit of his soul.
I always
How?
say that art pretty much is the basic, the form, the basic foundation of life, of creativity and of life, because pretty much everything that you see that's man-made started out from a drawing, some concept that someone had, and they had to put it down on paper. And so a lot of the things that we have and that we take for granted started out as a piece of artwork,
Yes.
And so art still is, for me, a creative outlet. It's a place where my imagination can go, feel free,
Wild.
and go wild, and I can, just do what I see in my mind, and it's very, and very
Yes.
free. It's a freedom for me. It's kind of freeing of my spirit, and I find people appreciate it
Yes.
and purchase my art. So that's encouraging. In the technological world that we have, people still recognize and value art.
Who are some of your favorite artists?
Well, some of the old masters. I like Da Vinci. I liked Rembrandt. I like Van Gogh, Cézanne, Monet. I like their work. They kind of inspired me, and Michelangelo.
What about some of our local artists? Is there anybody that stands
Well,
out for you?
Artwell, who is now deceased, he was an artist I admired because he had a particular style of doing most of his paintings of people, and they were always in profile, and I kind of admired that. And there's a number of Jamaican artists that I still recognize. Joe James, who is also deceased. But there's more, I cannot name as many of them. But there are good artists out there, and they're inspiring also. I hope I inspire some of them
I'm sure you do.
to keep their work going. So, yes.
All right. I want you to, before we close, just tell us, what's the vision? Where do you go from here? You have been in this area of art for, as I said earlier on, decades.
Yes.
You have given your heart, your soul, you have so many commissions that you have done across the world, and your art is in many places, and it's representing Jamaica in a very big way. And you are continuing to inspire young men and the people in your community. What's next?
Well, it's just continuing to live and, continue to inspire those that I can inspire. For me, I will work in my art to my last breath because it's what I know best.
Yes.
And I still enjoy and I still love what I do. So for me, I will continue to paint and do my art. Where it takes me, I have no idea what further it may go. I hope I can do a masterpiece that will be, sought after and valued, in this world.
Yes.
I hope I'll be able to leave a masterpiece in this world. So for me, I still want to just create works of art and just let it flow.
Yes. And before I ask you, what do you say to young artists, artisans, persons in Jamaica who are in that creative industry? I just want to mention some of the awards that you have had at the Rasnatango Gallery and Gardens. I'm seeing here USA 10 Best List in Jamaica, an AmCham nominee for 2014, a Sam Sharp Award in Tourism, Lonely Planet, 6 Best Nature Parks in Jamaica, TripAdvisor, Certificate of Excellence, and you've had that award since 2013 all the way back to 2019. Traveler's Choice Award 2020-2023. And of course, the International City of Peace Award that we spoke about earlier on. Toronto Botanical Garden, you have had a feature in that publication. Hospitality Award, and you've been featured in Virgin Atlantic In-Flight magazine, I believe, and Southwest Airlines. And you continue to do your tours, and your wife, Tamika, continues to do her gardening as an avid gardener.
She is just outstanding, a wonderful person, just absolutely. I'm blessed to have her as my wife. I feel very lucky and very blessed. She has been found a strong backbone for me. She has been encouraging. When things didn't go right, she said, "Stick with it. Keep doing what you're doing." And so we've gone through a lot. And so I'm very happy that we've actually made a mark in some way, in our own way, right? And we still continue to do what we're doing.
And what do you say to the young people who are perhaps in their belly,
I had
have a fire for art?
What was very interesting for me was we had a visit of a few months ago, about 2 months ago, of an American lady who came to visit the gallery and the garden. And when she came in and saw the work in the art in the gallery, she said to my wife and I, my daughter is interested in art, and I'm coming back and I'm bringing her to show her what you can actually achieve and do with with the work. And I thought it was very, very, it's a great compliment.
Yes, of course.
Yes, and thinking that I could be someone that sets an example for somebody. So it's really a fulfillment for me.
Yes. Rasna Tango, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for passing through and for spending some time with us on Jamaica's Tourism Titans.
Thank you for the to be listed among these illustrious names that I know in tourism. It's quite an honor. Thank you so much.
Well, you have earned your seat at the table.
Thank you so much.
It has been our pleasure. And we want to wish for you all that's good. From a boy drawing comics, for fun, to going through your career as an accountant and ditching that for what you really love, and for embracing who you are and being able to make a living from whatever it is that's pulsating through your bones and through your body. I think it's an accomplishment worth celebrating.
Thank you so much.
And we thank you for being with us on Jamaica's Tourism Titans.
Thank you again.
All the best. And there you have it, our guest inside Jamaica's Tourism Titans. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I certainly hope you'll join us next time as we bring this program to you. It has been our absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for listening to Jamaica's Tourism Titans. We welcome your feedback at letusknow@tpdco.org. Leave us a comment, share, like, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TPDCOJA. I'm Marline Stephenson Dalley. See you soon.